Right. So, good morning, Coffee with a Leader. Listen, we are excited. We are excited to be here today. We're excited that you are here, that you have traveled near and far to come to this place today, where you are going to be enlightened, educated, entertained, and walk away with an opportunity to learn more about an area in your business. And I say this all the time, when the speakers that we bring in, they're not giving you the same information. Bo and I search for speakers to come and bring something different to the table. And today, as Bo stated, this is not going to be your typical presentation where the speaker runs through a slide deck. This is really like a podcast, which I'm excited about because it takes me back to my old my TV hosting days when I was an interviewer. So we have with us today Miss Arba Cooper. Now, she's got her information, her bio deck here, but I'm going to just give you the short version because I know while you're reading it, you also want to hear about it. Plus, I wrote it down and I want to not let my efforts go to waste. So, so listen, I'm Miss Arba Cooper. Over 35 years experience in sales and marketing, started her own business after leaving a job as an engineer in 1996 to pursue her passion as a home-based desktop publishing business. And listen, she has done over 300 websites. 300 websites. Can you imagine how many hours of work that is? That is a lot. That is a lot. And she's also a SCORE mentor and has been for 7 years. So she knows exactly what entrepreneurs are looking for, what you guys, especially when it comes to marketing, what you guys are looking for. She's also been with Constant Contact, and she's going to share with you about her Vision Doers and her online video training, 100 hours. Listen, that right there is no easy feat. We all know how training is, and it's a lot to go into creating training videos. So, Arba, we are excited. We are excited that you are here today. So, welcome to Coffee with a Leader.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm ready.
All right. So we're going to go right in. We're going to ask Arba a series of questions. It's going to be in a conversation, but here's what you have the opportunity to do also. Anywhere in this conversation, you want to be a part of the conversation, you might have a question, you might have a comment. Place it in the chat or the Q&A. Now, here's the difference between the two. The chat, it kind of gets mixed in with all the other conversation. So if you've got a question, place it in the Q&A. That really separates it out. So that way we can make sure that we bring that into the conversation. So, and also get your notebooks out because you are going to want to take some notes and walk away with some valuable pieces of information. So, Miss Arba, let's go ahead and get started. Now we have your bio here, so we can see that. We can see all of your accolades, all of those accreditations, all of the things that you have excelled in. So give us a little bit of information about how you started your journey as an entrepreneur. What really inspired you on this path?
Well, actually, I had no intention on starting my own business. I was happily making a very good amount of money as an engineer with HP. And they were trying to fast track me into management. And I actually was not interested in management because at that time, and I'm aging myself and I don't mind, but back in the 80s, I was pretty introverted as a person in technology. So I didn't want to have to manage people. And my hairstylist had said, I need some business cards. And this was again in the 80s. So this was before Vistaprint. And so I said, well, sure, I do marketing in my job. So let me do some business cards for you. So I did some really nice custom kind of business cards. And then she started showing them, the other hairstylist started seeing these business cards. And then I did some other marketing for her. So what happened was that the other hairstylists, they liked what I did, and they started asking her, who did your business cards? Who did your marketing? And she kept telling them, it's my client, but she's an engineer. This is not what she does for a living. So then what happened is when I would come to get my hair done, they would all say, are you the one that did her business cards and did her brochures and her flyers? So I was like, okay, I'll do maybe a couple of them. But then it just started growing, and I found that there was a real need, and I loved it. I really enjoy helping all of these businesses to market themselves in a unique way that just didn't exist back in the 80s. So it business fell upon me.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I think many of us can attest to that. Right? Sometimes the business just finds you. I think that's awesome that you had the opportunity to make that shift. A lot of times that's an issue. And, being able to say, okay, I've got this really cushiony job here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which we like to call sometimes those golden handcuffs. It's like,
Right.
and then to be able to go out on your own, I think that's amazing. And I know those of you that are here as entrepreneurs, you know exactly what she's talking about, taking that leap of faith to be able to get out there.
Yeah, but one thing I want to share, and it may come up in the question, but this is like really part of my story that I'm going to kind of fast track, and then we can go back in and fill in the gaps. So, because I wasn't really looking for a business, and I thought this was great. Oh wow, and the joke in this is like, have you ever met somebody that's a know-it-all? You can't tell them nothing. They think they know everything. So, and the term, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Well, here I am, an engineer, and I'm thinking that, oh, wow, I could do this as a business. So I didn't want to, be in management. So I decided, I quit my job. I quit my good paying job and said, I'm going to just do this marketing thing. And I thought I could figure it out. And so I just started, doing the cards. I wasn't assessing anything, my cost. I didn't have my business separate from my finances. I'm just chugging along, not getting any help and trying to figure this thing out, right? And I was married, small children, and putting everything into this business, trying to figure it out. And finances after a while, because I didn't get it. Starting a business is quite different than working a full-time job where somebody's telling you what to do.
Right.
So it ended up transparency that I started getting the foreclosure notices, hiding them from my husband because I was the one that handled the finances, in the household. And I kept saying, oh, I'm gonna, this next client or this next thing or this next whatever, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get this money. I'm gonna be able to pay the bills. Then the what's with the repossession of the car started coming in. And I'm still delusional. I'm just like, there's no way. I'm an engineer. I'm smart. How can I be losing and not figuring this thing out? And so it ended up that house got foreclosed, car repossessed, and I lost my marriage, quite frankly, because I was prideful, delusional, matter of fact, and just stubborn about trying to figure out how to grow my business instead of really looking for help. So I went through a phase of, lost everything. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and I had to come home back to Buffalo, as Cheryl and I talk about, back to Buffalo, New York, live with my parents because I didn't do it the right way. So I want to put that out there. All of the accolades on there doesn't talk about the failure. And we're going to talk about some of that today.
Yeah, and I think that's where we had our conversation yesterday. Was a lot of times for being a mentor at SCORE, we have folks that'll come in with a great idea. And as you know, at SCORE, one of the things we have to refrain from when we're working with folks is not to crush their dreams, right?
Right.
Come in and, hey, I love cooking. I'm a great cook. I want to start a food truck. And today's session is about learning about the pitfalls. It's not just about, hey, you're going to teach me what the best web platform to use is, or when's the best time to post on social. Today is for the folks that are either early stages of business, idea stage, you're just getting started, or maybe you're still in that infancy, and you really don't know where all the landmines are. And even in business, when you've graduated and you've grown into that adolescent stage, or you're maturing, you still need guidance. You need advice. You need to have kind of a look behind the curtain. And I think that's what you're going to give us today.
Yes, yes. And I didn't know about SCORE. So I didn't know about SCORE because I didn't look for advice. I didn't seek it, because SCORE definitely exists. What is it? 60 years old now?
Yeah.
60 or more?
Right. Yeah. Back in the 60s.
So I had no excuse.
And so, Arva, that's interesting, because we all come from a place, right, where we all have a story that either allows us to stay in our situation or allows us to elevate and move to another situation. And before we get into the business, you got to get through that portion there. And then, as being SCORE mentors, the questions that we hear all the time is, what's the funding? How do you fund a startup? So, how did you do that in your early days? How did you fund your business with all of the other financial issues that you had happening?
Well, that was my problem with my first go round, was that I had a lot of money in a 401k. At that time, back in the 80s, 90s, they had stock options, and I had a lot of savings. And so I figured, hey, that's all I need. And the thing is, I didn't separate it. I did not separate my personal from my business. And so I exhausted my personal finances. I exhausted, 401k, stock options, what I had in savings, because I kept thinking I'm going to be able to turn that back around. So this time around, and I'm happy to say I'm remarried. So I did get a second chance, a second husband, second house, 2 cars, all the whole, everything. But again, the funding comes from our own finances. So but I talk to my husband all the time, because the thing about most entrepreneurs is, and I'm just speaking for myself, it's almost like an addiction kind of thing, is that you feel like this is going to work, this is great, and you're optimistic and you take risks. But if you don't have a sounding board, if it's your spouse, great, because that's somebody who you're sharing your finances with. If you're not married, it should be some kind of friend, but you need to have some level-headed person on your team that's going to help, like, really ground you and help you to figure out, is this a good thing to do? So so the second go round is that, again, build up my finances, and I was only doing as much as my finances would allow. Okay. But again, it's bootstrapping. It's called bootstrapping.
Right. Yeah. And if you're not familiar with that term, folks, look it up. It just means that you're going to be using your own money to kind of keep the business afloat as you go along.
Yeah. Oh,
I think most entrepreneurs, that's something that you have to think about, because you are going to plug in. It's your dream. It's that thing that, your legacy. It's that thing that you want to see happen. And so you are going to plug in your own finances into the thing that you believe in. And so you started the business. So now you've gotten funded for the business. And so what's next? You guys know where I'm going. Right now we can start talking about, okay, how do I tell people who I am, where I am? How do I tell them about me? So what does my marketing need to look like? So let's go into the marketing for a moment. So what were some of the initial challenges when you started your business and you were thinking about marketing? What were some of those marketing issues, some of those marketing challenges?
Right. To step back just a little bit, and this is what happens, is many times entrepreneurs, they come up with this business idea, and then the first thing they want to do is market. Okay.
Yeah.
And Bo already knows where I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
He
such
already
a,
knows.
like, yeah, that's the, go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, so you think, okay, I got this great idea, I want to market it. So I get a lot of, like, for the websites that I've done, and they come to me and they want a website. And so then I was like, okay, great. Tell me about your business. Who's your target market? What makes you unique? You know, I start asking these questions, and they look dumbfounded, actually. So I go, where do you have a marketing, a business plan? And it's like, huh? And this is what I did not have. So before you start even talking marketing, how do you market? What do you do? The reason that we, and I mean we as SCORE mentors, and I just want to go back a second. I am no longer a SCORE mentor, and we'll talk about that, and the reason why I couldn't do both. Before you even talk marketing, and marketing includes before you even get business cards, websites, anything, you have to have a business plan. And I know a lot of you may be saying, oh my God, why do I got to do a business plan? This is why. The business plan is your roadmap. The business plan flushes out, again, who's your target market? What makes you unique? Really, what are you offering? It really, and it doesn't matter if it's one page. They got it now that there's a one-page business plan. So your marketing plan and marketing strategy is a part of your business plan. And that's what really should be driving how you're marketing your business. So back to what Cheryl, I think you were asking, what is the first thing that you do? If you have a solid business plan, then that's when you start, like, kind of with a little soft launch. You start testing with your friends, maybe sending them maybe doing some kind of flyer or doing a social post, and then asking your friends, what does this sound like? Does this make sense? What do you think I do? You know, that you always want to do a little soft launch before you go, like they got Vistaprint now, before you go Vistaprinting, 500 cards just because they got a 10% off deal. Make sure you test out your marketing.
I think that's an important aspect that we don't often test. Like, we don't do like a test A, a test B, or segment markets to find out what's the best messaging that you want to provide. Bo is, those of you that are on the webinar, you'll see Bo is posting several polls. The first poll was about how many of you just kind of jumped ship and decided, today is the day, I'm going to just walk away and go ahead and do my own thing. And I think, what were the results, Bo? I think it was one was higher than the other.
More people said no, and quite a few people said sort of. And there's probably some success stories out there where people said, no, that's it. I just quit my job and I winging a prayer and I just did it and I'm a success. But those folks are probably few and far between. A lot of people that are that we work with will say, your best advice is don't let go of that money, or that money could be what creates that stability. If you give up that money, maybe you do get repoed, right? Maybe you do get foreclosed. Maybe bad things can happen. But I think it's important, again, to get back what Arb is saying about the business plan. The business plan contains things like a marketing strategy. Mm-hmm. They contain a financial plan. They contain a structure of the business and a process of how business will be done. Who are your stakeholders, right? Who are your vendors? Who are your customers? Usually contains a competitive analysis. It contains a customer analysis. You're building a profile. So all of these things are just going to better prepare you before you launch. And in some cases at SCORE, our goal is to prevent people from destroying their lives, right? And yours is a good example of that. But because some people, they come in and they have a half-baked idea, and you're like, okay, well, how much money is it going to take, and who is your customer? And like, well, everybody would buy my widget, right? Well, no, not everyone will buy your widget, and you really need to make sure, if you're following either a business plan or in some cases, a business canvas, that's another model if you've not looked at that. But to have a plan before you go into battle, because like the saying says, wars are fought on the battlefield, but they're won in the tent. They're won because of all the good planning that you've done before you started that business. So it looks like a lot of folks, about 40, it's about half and half that have a business plan and some that don't. If you started your business already, right, Arba, it's not a bad idea to back up and actually have it be a working document. So for one of the businesses I actually had it printed and I kept it with me. I traveled by car a lot. I kept it with me in my car because it was printed and it wasn't anything fancy. It was a paper binder, right? But it gave me something to look at. And then each quarter or every 6 months, you go back through and go, if this is my roadmap on how I'm getting to where I'm going to go, am I on course or do I need to make some adjustments? And then sometimes you readjust the business plan each year or maybe even every 6 months.
Yeah. And what I also want to share is a lot to do with what happened with me was because it was 2008. And although I don't want to totally use this as an excuse, because I still was not monitoring my finances like I should, but 2008 was the recession. And my business was, my clients were all small businesses, because this was at the time that this happened, was like you see on the screen, is when I had my wedding magazine. And the advertisers in the magazine were all solo entrepreneurs. So they were caterers, DJs, different people that provided services for weddings. And so what happened was when the recession hit, the first thing, and we're going to talk about that too, the first thing people want to let go, the solo entrepreneurs let go, is their marketing, their advertising. Right. So they were saying they couldn't pay for their ads in my publication, anymore. And I also used to do bridal shows, all kinds of things, but they didn't want to do that anymore. So I didn't have any second or plan B. I put all my eggs in the advertising basket, and now I didn't have any advertisers. So then I had nothing to fall back on. So I think about, because I look at a little bit of the comments, and I know COVID, that was a big thing, that there were a lot of companies that lost their business because of COVID. And so that's part of your marketing, part of your business plan is you should have a plan B. You should have something that, okay, do I really have a recession-proof business? Do I have a pandemic-proof business? Do I have a business of what if something happens to you? Then what's going to happen to your business? So all of that is something you need to have in your business plan. I didn't have any of that, and that's what spiraled me down.
Yeah, and that's where a SWOT analysis comes into play, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. SWOT analysis really should be done, I would say, every year, if not even more frequently in today's environment, right? So you've got to know what those threats and those opportunities, the strengths and weaknesses are. That's actually part of your business plan work as well.
Yeah. Cheryl's on mute. I don't know if she's talking to us.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's important here too is, as I'm seeing here, it's like half and half on the poll as to who has a business plan and who doesn't. Is that when you think about the traditional business plan, right, and its length and all of the things that you have to do, and I think that might have been like a deterrent. Yes. Right, as to why people didn't complete it, was just that just looking at it, it's so overwhelming. Right, as to what you have to do and all of these things that you have to look at. And there are so many different facets of business plans today. And you mentioned, Arba, a one-page business plan. I've seen the one-page business plans. I've seen flow plans. It's a plan that allows you to stay north. That's what I like to call it. Right, because you have things that you look at, you might be, something that might make you pivot. You need to be flexible, but in the midst of all of that, how do you get back on track? And that's what that business plan is. And it's that I can fall left or I can fall right, but in order to keep going north, I have to have something that grabs me back and says, okay, get back on track, get back on the plan. And that's the purpose of the business plan. It is very vital and useful in that regard. So those of you that do not, and I see 26, that's half. Those of you that do not have a business plan, if you have not reached out to a SCORE mentor or to SCORE to actually get help with that, please do so. What Arbor is sharing here is the importance of having that plan.
And that plan also helps for when you do meet with your mentor, so that they can kind of get us a summary of what you're trying to achieve. Because as a SCORE mentor, I'll still say we, although I'm not still a mentor, we really sincerely want to help. We want to help you reach your goals. The reason I became a SCORE mentor was because I didn't want anyone to go through what I went through. When I learned about SCORE, I was like, really? I can help people avoid what happened to me? Also, your business plan, no matter how simple it may be, will also help you attract partners, will help you attract people that so you don't have to do it alone, that you're able to just express what you're trying to do a lot clearer. It will help you in networking, and we're talking about all of that. So all of that, it will help you from when someone says, so tell me about your business, that you're not like, because you will know, you'll have something solid that you can refer to and refine. That's the thing, is a business plan is, you don't put it in a frame and never change it or etch it, whatever. No.
You can put it behind glass, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I did drop a couple of links in the chat box, and these are actually assets you can get from score.org. If you go to any SCORE chapter or just the national site score.org, you can go to the search box and type in whatever it is that's on your mind, right? So in this case, a one-page business plan. And there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 different webinars that have been done. And then there's a simple one page. It kind of, it's really not enough, but it gives you an idea like, well, what is in a business plan? And so I put the link in there if you want to see a few of the simple questions. But ultimately, we've had folks that we've worked with at SCORE, and it takes them 6 months or more to do their business plan. Because they really are, especially if you're opening brick and mortar, because you've got, leases to consider, and you've got how's your partnership set up. I mean, there's so many things that SCORE folks are going to walk you through to make sure you don't get halfway down the road. And we've actually had people come into SCORE and go, hey, we opened our business last week and realized nobody's coming in because we didn't advertise. Okay.
Didn't have that marketing plan.
Yeah, it would have been good to have that in the marketing plan, right?
Yeah, but I just want to still simplify it, because again, my heart is for the solo entrepreneur. So I always like to bring it back down to the solo, is that if you're having problems even trying to complete a one-page business plan, then that means you're not ready.
Yeah.
That means if you cannot even explain your business idea to yourself, then how are you going to be able to explain to someone else? That's really what the purpose, even the one page, it's asking questions that you really need to flush out before you start putting your money and your time and whatever into trying to do that story. I'm trying to do that business. So you got to take it seriously. These are questions that you have to be able to answer.
And I think those are one of the pitfalls, right? I know there's a category here. There's a huge category here about some of the pitfalls to avoid. And I think that can be listed as number one, right? Number one pitfall is not having your plan laid out where you have a visual. There's something about the visual aspect of it. Like we can, and conceptualize in our head what it should look like, what it should sound like. And then when you put it on paper, you're like, well, wait a second, right? It's different. So there's that head to pen, right? There's that brain to pen concept that works so well. So, Arba, okay, so you've started the business, you've overcome the setbacks that you initially had. You're looking at your business plan. You've got a marketing strategy in place. So let's talk about that a little bit before we start talking about the target audience. And you mentioned partners and joint ventures. And then we also have to talk about that element of self-care, because as entrepreneurs, come on, we know it.
Yeah.
We work
Yes.
endlessly.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So self-care is always going to be a factor. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit more about the marketing. What is the most crucial piece of advice that you would give someone? And we talked a little bit about first startup, so I want to change the question a little bit.
Mhm.
What's the most crucial piece of marketing information a person needs to have so that they can actually start their marketing strategy? Like, what are the steps that they need to
Mhm.
take?
I've said it before, but I'm gonna expound upon it. You have got to know your target market. The reason that is so important is if you have a mindset of I have something that everybody needs, then you really have something nobody needs. Because the only thing everybody needs is air. There's the air, water, whichever. But by saying that you have something that everybody needs means that you haven't really honed in to really who needs it, because your marketing needs to be speaking to someone. Your marketing needs to be so clear that when a person looks at your website, picks up your marketing material, they've got to feel like, oh, this speaks to me. Okay. And the reason that I know when you first start out, you want to have something for everybody because you're thinking that, wow, I can make more money or do whatever, the more people. But no, if you focus on the one specific target audience, and you do that well, that is going to grow your business. When I started my first business, and like I said, my first, and I've had several, it was the hairstylist. Okay. I had that so niched. And so that when I showed them my portfolio, they saw the other hairstylists, the designs I had done for them. I said, oh, you should have appointment cards. You should have this. I knew that market so well. But does that mean that I only worked with hairstylists? No, because many of the hairstylists, their clients in the chair, they were realtors. And they said, oh, can you do something for me? And then, they had all types of businesses. So you will be able to work with all types of other clients, but you really need to hone in on that target. Who's your target? After knowing really who is your target, then you got to know, well, where are they? You hear a lot of people saying, oh, you got to be on social media. You got to be active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Now they got TikTok and whatever. If you really know your target audience, is that where they are? Why are you going to spend a whole lot of time on doing TikToks and all of that, and your target audience isn't there? If you're a one person, spend your time where you know that your target market is. That want to add in there, or do you want me to keep going?
Oh, that's so true.
I could get preachy, but because I'm just so passionate about it. And because like I said earlier, I've had so many people come to me. It's funny. The first question they ask me, how much is a website? I need to get a website. How much is a website?
Yeah.
And I tell them, I said, that's like going to a construction company and asking how much is a home. You haven't told them nothing, to know. I don't even know what kind of website you're trying to build, it's just so sometimes you just got to get that out of your head of how much is something, and say that I'm trying to reach, in my case, I'm trying to reach solo entrepreneurs who are looking to get their first website. If I was talking to another website, and I'm thinking I only probably need 1 or 2 pages, how much would that be?
Right.
That's a more educated conversation.
Yeah, and in some cases, we call that self-diagnosis. I mean, imagine going into your physician and telling them what you need, right? And he's like, well, wait, first of all, let's
Or
take some
what's wrong with me? Or you
let's
telling
take
them,
let me ask a series of questions, a lot of questions, right?
yeah,
Let me take some vital signs. Let me take your blood pressure, your temperature, right? Let me do a physical exam, right? Those types of things. Let me ask you more questions and more questions, and eventually you get to a point where you're like, okay, well, you don't really need a website, not
right.
yet, anyway. What you need is a competitive analysis, or what you need is a customer persona, if you will, right? Or to create your avatars. So a lot of times we want to self-diagnose ourselves, and it's always good to have a mentor or a peer that you can contact and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And like, whoa, roll, slow your roll. Just a minute. You don't need a website. What you need to do is figure out, who your client is and what colors and what brands and what fonts are going to appeal to them the most, right? So there's a lot of things to start with before that. I had one question I wanted to ask you following up on that. When you're talking about that marketing, and I like what you said, is like, don't try to be on every platform or every channel, because then you're on maybe none. But can you answer for us, like, in your opinion, what do you feel like that your effective marketing is? How do you know when your marketing is effective? That's one of the questions I had for you.
Oh my goodness, for recently, how I have found how effective it is through my networking. So I do a lot of networking where and for those solo entrepreneurs, that is your number one. There is so many free networking sites, or there's paid networking, but either way, as you see, I mean, I have my background here is one thing, right? So I'm always marketing. So the opportunity to be on a networking call, and when you have your solid elevator pitch, as we call it, elevator pitch comes from really knowing who your target market is, what you offer, what's your unique selling point. And you get in these networking groups, and some of them you get put in breakout rooms. Sometimes you have just one-to-one, sometimes it's multiple people. But I've got it down now that I have my elevator pitch. I'm excited. I got my background. And one of the things I'm always ready is I have my calendar link. Calendly is free. There's absolutely no excuse, Here's the other thing is, if you're not putting your phone number or some kind of contact information on your website or your whatever, then are you really trying to do business? Are you really trying to meet people? But anyway, so networking, I find that either while I'm still on the networking call, I'm getting emails of people scheduling, booking with me, booking time, because they want to talk more about what I do, what I offer, or after I get off the call. Or sometimes I'll get bookings, and it's people that I don't know. And one of the questions I ask is how did you find me? And they'll say so-and-so referred them. So that's what's working for me.
Yeah, I feel like you need to know that as well for yourself. And that's one of the questions you need to weave into some type of follow-up. Like, how did you find out about us, or how did you hear about us? One client is going to be, I found you on Facebook, or I found your website, or I found you through Google, right? So that way, we have a saying that in advertising, you're always throwing away half your money. You just don't know which half it is, right? But in the digital age, we can track whether or not, the money that we're spending online, or the time or effort, is actually being fruitful, if you just ask that question.
Yeah. Somebody just scheduled a book with me. Thank you. I don't know if they're on this call, but I didn't even put my calendar. I didn't even put it up yet. But thank you.
There you go. Like, and it might be one of these folks that's in the Q&A.
They said Deirdre. Yeah, thank you, Deirdre.
So, Delise, I do have one question that's coming from Delisa. How do I find out where my target market is? Just to step back, one question.
Right.
How do I find out where my target market is? Do you want to address that quickly?
Yes, because it's so vitally important. Before you even try to figure out who your target market is. You got to figure out what problem are you solving? Either what problem are you solving, or what some desire are you creating? Okay, so what I mean by that is that I did not even know there was a problem back when I started my first business. I didn't know that the hairstylists wanted unique advertising because it didn't exist back in the 80s. That so that was the problem I was solving. They all wanted unique marketing, and so I was solving that problem. So my target created itself because I understood the problem that I was solving. What I mean by a desire, what desire are you fulfilling, is that, let's say, for instance, jewelry, right? You don't need jewelry, but you can create that need for that jewelry, okay? So the way you figure that out is that you determine who needs what I have, who needs beautiful jewelry. So once you start thinking who needs it or who wants it, that's how you determine who your target market is. For instance, if you wanted you were creating jewelry that's really nice for men. There's not a lot of men, bracelets. Men wear bracelets. Some men wear necklaces. So you let whatever service or product that you are desiring to do, you figure out who your target market is by that.
So I hope that answered your question, Delisa. Like, Daniel is ready to be one of your clients here in the Q&A also. He's getting ready to put on a full marketing strategy, and actually your Calendly is up. So Daniel, her Calendly is up. So get in touch with her. He's asking if you're taking on new clients.
Well, okay, let me explain first that
what it is that you do.
Right. What I do. I am purely the person behind the curtain. That's the best way to say it. That I'm really, even though I have been blessed with the skill to talk and to, whichever, and I was a mentor up until I think 2021, because my real comfort and passion, you get on the screen, I'm good. I can talk, I can be animated, whatever. But my real jam, if you will, is just let me just do my technical stuff. If you need a website, let me get the parameters. I'll do the website, social media, or whichever. So I really don't like the mentoring or the consulting, part of it. And I'll explain this in a minute. You have to know what you're happy with and what you're passionate with, right? So I'm the person that you would come to once you clearly know what kind of marketing you want to do. And as you see on the screen, I worked for a digital marketing agency, a large agency, for 12 years. So I was the person that implemented whatever marketing strategy that needed to be done. So my what I do is I'm very efficient and I get the work done, but I really am not a consultant. And so I'm gonna come a little fast forward a bit, that through my networking and through people seeing everything that I do, I have been approached by a couple of consultants that I work with now. And I fulfill what they don't do, and they fulfill what I don't do. So
prior to your weakness, right?
Yes. Back to the SWOT, back to knowing what your strengths, weaknesses,
back to the SWOT.
Yes. So when I was first starting out, yes, I had to do what I didn't like to do. I had to do the strategy calls, the consultations, help pulling out what it is you're trying to do. And, now I'm at a point that I can just jam on what I love to do. So what I do is, if you're at the stage that you really need to talk to someone and kind of figure out your strategy or whatever, that's when I get one of my consultants involved with that. And I just lost my train of thought for a minute with that. But yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute. So that's what I do. I'm the person that I offer very, very affordable marketing services to solo entrepreneurs. But you got to know what you're trying to do. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time trying to help you figure that out.
Well, you have a package solution that works for you really understand your customer, right? If
Right.
somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, I have a $40 million a year company and I need a $100,000 website," you'd be like, "Well, okay, I'm probably not your person. That's really not my wheelhouse." Doesn't mean you
Actually,
may
it
not take
is,
it,
but
but when maybe it is. But you have a
if they
you
know
have,
what they want, I can
yeah,
do it. I can do from simple to advanced
the
because
complex,
I've been
right?
trained. But
So I think it's important to really be honest with yourself and say, I'm going to go back to the food truck. Oh, I love to cook, so I want to open a restaurant. I want to open a food truck, right? Well, yeah, that you may love to cook, but here's a better question: do you like to do accounting?
right.
Do you like to have business meetings, right? Do you like to be back in the kitchen with the things, or do you like to be in the front of the restaurant with the people, right? Are you better with things or people, right? Are you a creator, or do you not have a creative bone in your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the questions you have to answer, because in the business, you are the CEO, right? The chief everything officer.
Yes.
And especially on solopreneurs, you have to do most of those things. Now, for me, I don't spend time. I mean, I'll do my QuickBooks, but when it comes to the bookkeeping and the accounting, I'm not touching it, because number one, I'm not skilled at it. I'm not experienced at it, and I could take that time and I can apply it somewhere else in my business to have more effect, right? To be out front, making calls, meeting with people, working on projects. So be real honest with yourself when it comes to that part of the business. And like Arb was saying, I think what I hear you saying is hire to your weakness, and know
Right.
you've got to do that in your business plan, because I know I have to find a good accountant or I'm sunk, because it's not going to fall to me.
Yeah. And because I didn't have an accountant, and because I didn't look for anyone with that expertise, that's where my failure was the first time around. But believe you me, I've got somebody looking at my numbers, looking at my books. Yeah. And when you first, this is on the flip side of that, when you're first starting your business, you are going to have to do some things that you don't like to do. Just you're going to have to, because you are not going to be able to pay someone to do your sales, someone to do your marketing, someone to do your accounting when you're first starting out. And now, unless if I had done it the smart way, I had enough money. If I could go back the hands of time with the amount of money that I had when I started my business, had I had a business plan and know that I should have had an accountant, a salesperson, the marketing and all of that, then I would have structured it correctly. But if you don't have that and you're bootstrapping your business, then do all those things. So for those of you who say you're introverted, I don't like talking to people or whatever, then you're not gonna be successful. Hey, I
Keep it
can't.
real.
Gotta keep it real. I gotta keep it real. You cannot, and the other thing too, you can't hire people right out the gate, because they are not gonna have your passion. They are not gonna understand your business like you do, and you're gonna want a commission. They're gonna want to get paid, So learn those things, learn those skills. I learned those skills so well that I'm faking people that they think I'm really extroverted and that I love, but I have found what I do love. I do love speaking. I do love training. But I don't like one-on-one coaching and consulting. And but I will help you. Like, so for those of you who have found me and scheduled time with me, I will spend time and then probably quickly refer you to one of my business consultants that love to do that.
And
Yeah.
I think that's the other element too, is that you have to stick to your lane of genius.
Yes.
Right? We each have a lane of genius. Everybody has a gift, and you've perfected that. And whether you know it or not, that's your jam, right? That's your thing. And then, the other things, like when I started my business, and Bo, I'm sure you can attest, as well as those of you on this call, is that, yeah, I had to learn Canva initially. I couldn't hire someone to do my fabulous flyers that we want, right? Because we want these amazing flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't hire somebody to do that. So I had to spend time in Canva to learn it.
Right.
And I'm glad I did, because if I need something in an instant, I can do it. But for my professional flyers, I now farm that out.
Yeah. And you don't know. You by doing things that you think you don't want to do, over time, you may find a gift that you didn't know you had. And the gift that I have found that I have is, although I'm highly technical, I am also engaging, and I can break down technology to make it simple. And that's a gift that I didn't know I had until I had to step outside of my comfort zone. And so that's why it's actually good to do all of the things that you may not like to do, because you may discover something that you're actually good in besides what you thought you were good in.
Yeah, it's a continuous learning as an entrepreneur. I find that I am continuously evolving as well as learning. So I know you were still talking about the target market, and I don't know if you and Bo got into joint ventures and partnerships, and I want to make sure that in the time that we have allotted, that we do start to talk about partnerships if you have not, because that has been amazing for me, collaborations and partnerships. And so, can you talk about that? You talked about networking, but let's talk about partners. And so for your business, what will be a great partner for you? And then help other people think about that, because I think that has to be a part of your conversation also.
Yes. I want to go back to this thing of not trying to do everything, because this ties into partners, that many times entrepreneurs, whatever business that they set out to begin with, then they believe, oh, I can do that. I can do that. I can add that. I can add that. I went through that, where my jam of all jams is web design. I love to do websites, right? But of course, with websites, then people, you need good SEO. You need to have good content. You also, then it gets into social media and email. So I have learned to do all of those things, but SEO, except for SEO, I only did SEO when I was working for the digital marketing agency, because that is a full-time job. Okay. So partners that I'm looking for is really anyone that's their specialty. If their specialty is SEO, email marketing, because this is stuff I can do all of this, but I've learned that I'm not trying to be the everything for everybody, because then you're not a specialist. Right. I can truly say I specialize in doing affordable creative websites for solo entrepreneurs. I'll compete with whoever else is out there, but
that's your focus. Yeah. And that's what we were getting back to before, is what do you do and who do you do it for? And be like, oh, well, I'm in the bracelet business. I can do 100 bracelets, and everybody's my customer. And you're like, okay, we'll slow your roll, because there's 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
But all those people aren't going to love your widget.
I don't have bracelets.
Yeah. So, but you're in an area where, yes, there is a need for websites, and there is a need for affordable websites.
Right. And so this is what happens is you get on networking calls, or you go to networking events, or you're talking to somebody one-on-one, And then all of a sudden you're just like, well, I do this, I do this, I do that, I do this, and I can also do that, and I da 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 da. And you just don't know that the person on the other end they clocked out. They clocked out, because it's like you're all over the place. You do everything. So partners, back to partners. In two situations now, if you do what you do well enough, people are going to flock to you. Partners are going to come to you. And that's what has happened with me. That back when I had my wedding magazine, there was a consultant, a wedding, what do you call it? Wedding coordinator, event planner, wedding coordinator, whichever. And she knew I was really successful with my wedding magazine. She approached me because she wanted to do bridal shows. And so we partnered together, and man, we were unstoppable in Atlanta, because we were doing monthly bridal shows, because we created a niche. It was like a specialty. But anyway, so in that situation, she saw that I was constantly out there with my magazine, and we started doing the shows. Currently, like I said, I have two business consultants or business coaches. And that's another thing I want to quickly say, that if you're at a certain level in your business and you're trying to get to that next level, so I'm talking to those of you who you are making money, you know who your client base is, you've got a good client base, but you're trying to get to that next level, get a coach, get a business coach. That's how you're going to get to your next level. So I've had two coaches so far that I'm already in a partnership agreement with them, because like I said, I'm fulfilling what they don't like to do, and they're fulfilling what I don't like to do. And it just grows. That's how you're going to grow your business.
You know, I think that's so important, especially for anybody here that's a nonprofit. When I was in nonprofit, one of the things that we learned is that when you're applying for grants, it's better to have a partner, another nonprofit that you can partner with, versus you trying to get the grant solely by yourself. Because the way people are distributing money now, right? They want to do more. And so you can offer more by just joining forces,
right,
with someone else. You know,
right.
And I love the fact of you saying how like the dots just connect, right? You get out there, you show up, the dots connect.
Yes.
Many of my speaking engagements, and even today, I don't even have time to look for prospects, because I'm always getting emails and on the different sites that I'm on, or the connections, and they're like, hey, or I'm a LinkedIn fanatic, because that's where my clients are, on LinkedIn. And so I'm always getting reached out to, hey, we checked out your profile. And so you have to have that level of expertise where a person says, wait a second, Google marketing. Oh, wait, there's this guy, Bo Harvey, right? There's Arba Cooper. Names pop in when you think about something specific.
Yeah.
So this gives you an opportunity of being able to do that, and the purpose of being a good partner. That's a good partner, a good referral partner, and a joint venture. So we are approaching, my gosh, where did this time go, Bo? We are almost at 9 o'clock. We are almost at 9 o'clock. Listen, here's an opportunity for our time remaining. If you have questions for Arba, please put them in the Q&A. I want to make sure that you get your questions answered. So let's see here. We have, so Delisa, she says suggestions on where to find a business coach. Have taken advantage of the previous coach.
Been taken advantage.
Gotcha. Been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
That's a sad story, and it happens.
Right. You have to, this is something that I had to learn the hard way about vetting. The term vetting. Vetting means researching, really getting referrals or whichever. So something that I have a problem with is that I respond quick. I think quick, I do things quick. And so a lot of I've gotten taken advantage of, by different business opportunities and so forth. And so what you have to do, like how I found my coach, and Cheryl knows this, is it was from a coffee, one of these coffees with a leader. And so the first thing I thought of is that, okay, if this person is on Coffee with a Leader, they've already been somewhat vetted, because I'm sure Cheryl and Bo are not going to just let anyone get on here and talk to their score audience. So that was the first thing. Then second is I went to her website and really checked out, what is she, who is she, what is she about? Then I started following a little bit, social media. So, and then you also, believe me, when they have testimonials, then you should be able to ask, can I speak to that person? If they don't have testimonials, then that may not be, that may not be a good coach for you. But that's what you want to do with any decision that you make, is really vet that person out. Where did you find them from? So SCORE, again, I cannot applaud SCORE enough, especially since I used to be a volunteer, that you can find SCORE. Mostly all webinars are by some kind of business consultant, so look for somebody that's already been vetted by SCORE.
Well, one of the things you find too, ever since COVID especially, is, and we joke in the business for consulting, is those that can do and those that can't teach, right?
Yeah.
You've heard that. Especially since COVID happened, everyone went indoors, and a lot of job changes, and everybody became a coach and an expert and a mentor, and there's a lot of legitimate folks out there. But you also do need to do some checking around. First thing to do is type the person's name into Google, because you don't only want to find all the good stuff about them, you want to find all the not so good stuff.
Right.
Check the Better Business Bureau, the BBB. Check obviously Google reviews. That's a quick way to find out if an organization is worth its salt, or an individual. So yeah, you've got to do your due diligence for sure.
And also one other thing, make sure that if you're seeking a business coach, business consultant, make sure they are in the same industry as you.
Right.
Or they understand your industry. That is so vitally important. The coach that I found, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Just exactly what I needed. She, sales, marketing, networking. It was like, we were almost like, and now we're working together. So I was paying her to be my coach, and now she's paying me to be her strategist, so you definitely want to look for somebody, because if you're going to pay for somebody to give you advice, they should have experience in what it is you're trying to do.
Absolutely. So we have a question here from Tia. So it says, thank you for all of the information. She has a furniture restoration and refinishing service. She knows her target customer, but she's having some trouble finding them. Her customers primarily have been friends, family, and acquaintances so far. So what are her next steps?
Well, I always go back to why. Why did you start this? Because many times I know that people will start a business because that's what they love, So they'll start something because that's what they love to do. And then you're stuck in the dilemma of, now I need to find other people who appreciate what I love to do. They're out there, but it's a harder battle. Because I don't know about furniture and restoration, but what I'm just thinking, I'm just brainstorming here, is that, are these people, like, when you find your furniture, are you going to like antique places or furniture places? Like, where are you going? Because you want to surround yourself by other people who have that same liking, that same, whatever. And this goes back to why I'm not a business coach. I'm not a business coach. What I can tell you is, how do you market once you've decided that, and then how do you, what should your website look like? What kind of social media you should do, whichever. So I'm the opposite side of that. But from what I can tell you from, from what I know, it's usually you seek people who have the same likes that you have and the same interests that you have. And oh my God, Facebook. There has got to be a group for everything.
And if there isn't, you can make one, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So either make a group or find a group. I would suggest first find a group. You may find that there's a group of already enthusiasts, people who appreciate furniture, but it's kind of all I got for.
And Bo's a furniture guy.
Yeah, I'm an old furniture guy. Not so much the restoration stuff, but the B2B part. And we had a couple of questions in the box just asking about, is there a SCORE chapter in Tampa? Is there one, in St. Pete? There are over 360 SCORE chapters nationwide. So whether you're attending today from Florida or anywhere in the US, just go to the Google machine, type in SCORE near me or SCORE chapter near me. And all the SCORE chapters are built. Some are larger than others. We've probably got about 35, 40 mentors in our chapter. And our chapter happens to be, it's a platinum chapter. We do over sessions like this. We do over 10,000 sessions in a year with individual folks. We do it. We have the education that's online. We have webinars like this. We have in-person webinars like our BizFest that's coming up. And then we also have one-on-one mentoring where you can either go to your local chapter on the days that some are only open certain days of the week or certain hours. And you can meet face-to-face with someone who will sort of triage your needs and help you get in the right direction, and then assign you to a mentor. And then you can meet with that mentor, every month, every 2 weeks, every week. I've got some folks that I meet with on a regular basis each week. And that's that mentor, that coach that's helping you. Okay, here's what we're going to do next, and here's the plan and the process. And we work with them, some of them for years, with their business. So it's free, it's confidential. That's the only commercial I really have for SCORE. But just Google it up in your area. You'll probably find more than one chapter, and you can do in person, and you can certainly do video or telephone. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I have another plug for SCORE, is that you definitely take it, use the SCORE website, the National SCORE website, and there are mentors that you don't have to be restricted to your area that you live in. You can search for a SCORE mentor that may have listed that their history or their experience or expertise may be in what you have, because you may not be so lucky. If you're in a pretty niche business, then whoever no matter how big that SCORE chapter is in your area, there may not be a mentor, because here's the thing to remember: SCORE mentors are volunteers. These are people who are taking their time to give back. And so don't limit yourself to that local area. You may find someone on the entire, 11,000 SCORE mentors. I used to know the whole.
Yeah, it's over 12,000 now. And if you, let's say, hey, I need to learn how to build a podcast, and there's nobody in our chapter that has that specialty, we'll reach out regionally first. But yeah, each mentor actually builds a profile online inside of SCORE, and we talk about all the things that we specialize in. So everybody's sort of a generalist, but if you need a specialty, pretty much nationwide, you'll be able to find it through SCORE.
Yeah, and that was kind of what happened. Why I just couldn't do it anymore. It was like I was getting inundated. It was like being a SCORE mentor was a full-time job. And I said, I can't continue to do this.
You can only imagine. It's interesting. This conversation has been interesting in the journey aspect of it, right? Because when people can hear your journey, especially as entrepreneurs, I think it's so vital for us to be able to share, because it helps people go the distance. It helps people go the distance. And, you can talk about these sales quotes, right? That says the statistics that your first conversation is not a sale. Your fourth one is not a sale. It's not like that 9th or 11th conversation that you probably can actually get the sale. And so, this conversation has been interesting in that you've been very open about your journey and how people can avoid some of the pitfalls, especially in their marketing aspect of the business, which we know there's two major aspects. If you're not selling or marketing, then the business is not going to last.
Right.
Nobody knows who you are and nobody's buying what you have, then there is no business. So thank you. Miss Mary is saying, gosh, she loves your honesty and she wants to know if there's a second webinar with Miss Arba.
It's possible. It's
Here's
possible.
something funny I want to say, because I do a lot of training, and when I was with SCORE, I used to do a lot of SCORE webinars, and before COVID, I would do the in-person trainings or webinars, and then during COVID, I was doing them. And here's the first question I would always ask is, I would say, how many of you are starting a nonprofit business? And then, maybe you might get one or two or whatever. And then I would say, if you're not making any money, then you are a nonprofit business.
Yeah, if you're not making money, it's a hobby.
There you go, right? Exactly.
Hey, one thing I would like to leave with two things. Actually, the Biz Fest for SCORE is happening in September. You can go to orlando.score.org and you can sign up for Biz Fest. It's a $20 session. It runs from around 12 o'clock to 7. We're going to have some really phenomenal speakers and some great topics, and obviously is a phenomenal time to network in person. The other thing I'd love to do is if you've learned anything from this session or any of our sessions at all, I'd love for you guys to drop a note into a Google review, not so much to promote SCORE, but maybe to promote that you've seen Arba and her message and how these types of sessions can help you out. It just helps other entrepreneurs like you when they're searching for business mentors or business help or help in my business in any way. It helps them find businesses like SCORE or nonprofits like SCORE. So I'll drop that in. If you guys get a chance, leave us a review. We'd love it. Anything
guys,
you want to share some last minute information on your website?
Yes.
Arba?
I do have free resources, and this has been compiled from over 20 years that how I have become an expert in what I do is because I'm always watching webinars, always listening to podcasts. And what I've done is I've compiled these resources. And I have, like, as you see on here, I have virtual training, online tools, SCORE resources, workshop resources, and you can get those all at DIY Marketing Biz. It's here on the screen. You do have to, it's free, but you do have to register, which means that you will be on my mailing list, which also means that if for any training I also do free virtual training. So those are my free is if you like my style, you like me, then you can get on my mailing list and you'll know about all the free marketing training that I do. So go to DIYmarketing.biz and go to the resources. And this is my last page. So I do not work for free. Okay. This is all my contact information, but please know that if you signed up for me on my calendar, it's not going to be a call where you're going to say, what should I do for this? And how do I do that? And, oh, can you give me advice on this? No, I don't do that. What I will do is that, if you want to know, well, what's a good platform to use to do this? Or what do I use to do that? Or can I refer someone that I've worked with to do this or that? I'll be happy to do that, but I am not going to do free consultation. I'm not offering that. If you want free, I have all this. And you can come to my free training. Free training is every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And you'll get more information on that if you if you register, get on my mailing list.
That's your Vision Doers, right?
The Vision Doers, yes.
Oh, that's a great session, people. If you want to just get in with some real people, Vision Doers is I've been to it, and it's Yeah,
Not only have
absolutely.
you been to it, you, Cheryl and
Yes.
Bo,
Yeah.
yes, they both spoke. Yes, they both spoke at my. I have a group that we meet every Tuesday at 5.
Tuesday at
And
5.
like I said, I do free training. Free training there.
You
That's my
can't,
give back.
you can
That's
never get enough webinars and podcasts, and it's always good to be a lifelong learner. So
yes. And
I
it's
wanna-
good to give back. For those of you that you're saying you're looking for, how do you get more clients? How do you da 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 da? Give back. Give back. When people see your passion for helping others, and it's not just a gimme, 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 then you will get people that will refer you and look for you, and whatever. And that's really the way the world goes around.
Can you flip back to the DIY Marketing Biz website? Somebody was asking about that. Just DIYmarketing.biz for those of you who are asking. So and then someone has asked, Belinda has asked if you would put any of your contact information into the chat because she's on the phone.
Oh, okay.
We can do that.
It's basically all I'm gonna, let's see. Oh, I do have a thing. Let me get out of this.
We know you have a Tony Harris paragraph that you can pop in the chat.
You know I do. I do. So, okay. So since you said it like that, I'm going to put that one in the chat. I'm going to, this, and you know what? This is another learning lesson. This is what everyone should have. You should have a, let me see, send it to everyone. You should be ready like that.
Just in case.
Bam. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And hot links, please. Hot links.
Yes.
Hot links. All right, Miss Arba. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. We are really excited that you had this opportunity to chat with us. And from the reviews already that are just in the chat, this was a great session. People enjoyed it. Good. And Bo has placed the link in for the review. Remember, that's important. We love those to have those reviews filled out. It works well for people to find score. And also, as Bo stated, use Arba's name, Arba Cooper, so that she can also be found, because that's what we want to do. That's that partner referral aspect of it. So, my friends, this month we have 3 sessions. It totally skipped my mind. This month we have 3 sessions. So come back in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Which is the 31st. The 31st, we have someone that's coming, and I don't remember. Is that the franchise? I can't remember, Bo.
Look at the schedule.
Well, you always know who's next. Bo usually makes that announcement and goes, next time we'll have.
Yeah. And somebody said, oh, yes. So if you want to listen from the beginning, someone was asking about that. It is recorded. I'll drop the link in there. It will be on the website later on, either today or tomorrow, and you can listen to the entire presentation again. Okay.
Awesome. So my friends, have an amazing rest of your day. And until the next time, do what you do on purpose. Do what you do on purpose. Show up, be seen, talk about it, and make it happen.
Yes.
Thanks again, Arba. It's great to see you again.
This was my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
See y'all in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.